Hello friends, welcome to Vittam Pravina Gurushala. In my previous video, I had listed fundamental tools to learn finance, and the first among them was analysis of financial statements. As I had mentioned, a thorough background of this is what you need to understand many concepts and applications at a later stage. But before we understand how to analyze, how to read financial statements, it's essential to first have a clear orientation of financial statements. This video, we will be discussing the basics, the concepts, the framework of financial statements. Now, when I use the term financial statements, it includes the following: statement of profit and loss, balance sheet, statement of changes in equity, notes to accounts, and cash flow statement. This is a list of what we call as financial statements. So when somebody asks you what does financial statements include, it's essentially mention all this. Let's very quickly see how we should have these for analysis. Remember, that is our purpose. We are not learning how to prepare this, how we should have it for analysis. I'll begin with the first statement, statement of profit and loss. We also call this as income statement. Now, as you're aware, this is a statement prepared to find the result of the business for a given period. What do you mean by result of the business? As it made profit or loss for a given period. And mandatorily, every year it has to be prepared. But for any other period, quarterly, half yearly, it can be prepared. So for whatever period we are trying to find the results, this is a statement we prepare to find that. Friends, what I'm now showing is the latest annual report of Hindustan Unilever Limited, 1920. And what I'm displaying is the profit and loss, statement of profit and loss. And what you find in annual report is in accordance with Companies Act or Ind AS. And this is the format. We will not go for discussion how to prepare. This is how it appears. So we would have revenue from operations, other income, then expenses, cost of material consumed, purchase of stock in trade, change in inventory, opening stock minus closing stock, opening inventory minus closing inventory, employee benefit expenses, finance cost, depreciation and amortization, other expenses. In case we have any exceptional items, we adjust that. We get profits before tax, adjust tax, we get profits after tax. Now, this is a format in which you find it in annual report. But our requirement is to know how we should have these for analysis, and this is how we should have it. This is our requirement. We begin with revenue from operations. So this is an item which you directly find available in the statement. Take this, but don't go with the format what you find, go with this. And from this, we should deduct cost of goods sold. Please remember, this is how we should organize financial statements for our requirement. It will be in a different format in annual report, which is for reporting, presentation. Our requirement is for analysis, how we should have. Less cost of goods sold. You know what cost of goods sold is? How much is cost of goods sold? How to calculate? Simple. For this purpose, we classify business into 3 different forms: trading, manufacturing, service. If it's a trading entity, which is engaged in just buying and selling, cost of goods sold is very simple. Opening stock plus purchases during the period minus stock at the end of the period. Closing stock will give us cost of goods sold. And where do you find this in annual report? It's for you to locate, but once you do, you have it. So manufacturing entity, we take opening stock of raw material plus raw material purchased during the period minus closing stock of raw material, which will give us raw material consumed, which you find in annual report, cost of material consumed. To that we add conversion cost, it is cost of converting raw material into finished goods, and which this conversion cost mainly includes labor cost and all factory expenses, or we also use the word factory overheads. Now this is in case of manufacturing. Cost of material consumed plus conversion cost. But if it's a service entity, mind you, you don't have anything called cost of goods sold because it's a service entity. There's no goods which are being sold, so you don't come across this term. So depending on which entity, is there cost of goods sold or not? If so, how to find is what we discussed. And when you do this, friends, what you get is called gross profit. All this is something you need for your analysis. This is not how you would have, but that is exactly what you should know. How we should organize financial statements for our learning of the subject financial management or strategic financial management. Friends, from this we deduct what is called cash operating expenses. What is this cash operating expenses? Operating expenses means expenses incurred to run the business. It includes office and administration overheads, selling and distribution overheads, research and development expenses are overheads. So let's remember, factory expenses are overheads is a part of cost of goods sold. All the expenses incurred to run the business is a part of operating expenses. But what is this? Cash operating expenses. Expenses incurred out of pocket. So we also use the word out of pocket expenses. That we use the word cash operating expenses. What we actually spend for. And when you deduct this, friends, you get a very, very, very important item for decision making, for discussion, and trust me, you can't even visualize how important it is. As you go further into the subject, you'll understand how often we make use of this term, EBITDA, which is earnings or profits before interest, tax, depreciation, and amortization. And believe it, this information, EBITDA has a very big role to play in a lot of decisions. Very important input. Why it is so important? Just a few minutes later, you will get to see. Now, from EBITDA, we deduct an interesting item called depreciation and amortization. Now, by now, depreciation is something you have been very familiar. Lot of working calculations you have done, but quite often this is misunderstood. And usually, when asked what is depreciation, the standard answer we find is fall in value of asset due to wear and tear, obsolescence, etc. But friends, that is not depreciation. If value of any asset changes, we call it as impairment. It is a different accounting standard. So what is depreciation then? Friends, depreciation, as you're aware, is on fixed assets. What are fixed assets? We know. We'll see the exact meaning of it. And these assets, fixed assets, which are meant for long term, are long term, but cannot be used forever. So there's something called a useful life. At the end of the life, you can't use it anymore, but business has to continue. Mind you, going concern concept. So let's say I have a machinery, useful life 10 years. 10 years has expired. Can we close the business? No. So what should we do to ensure the business is a going concern? Replace the asset whose life has ended, whose useful life has come to an end. But what if we don't have funds at the time of replacement? That's the exact purpose of depreciation. Depreciation is profits kept aside, and in accounting, you're aware, profits kept aside is also called provision. So it's a depreciation is a provision, profits kept aside for what? For replacing the existing fixed assets at the end of its useful life. So we keep aside profits every year, which accumulates, and this funds, also called depreciation fund, is what we use to replace existing fixed assets at the end of its useful life. So depreciation is not falling value of asset. It is provision made for replacement of existing fixed assets. So only if an asset has to be replaced, we obviously have depreciation. Land, what is the useful life? It can be used forever. Is there a need to replace it? No. Hence, for land, we don't create depreciation. Other than this, for any other fixed asset, we do create depreciation. Creating depreciation is nothing but setting aside profits. Then how much can we keep aside? How much should we keep aside? Depreciation is mandatory. You must. How much? That is a policy every business entity can decide. It's a policy matter. Which method, how much, what useful life to take, anything it can decide. Since it's a policy matter, there are possibilities that this item can have an influence on your profits. So if I keep aside more, my profits will be less. If I keep aside less, my profits will be more. Which means what is the final profits depends on one of the factors is depreciation policy. So for decision making, can I consider that final profits? No, that's exactly the reason why EBITDA is considered important. Friends, till EBITDA it is based on facts. After EBITDA it is based on policy. So EBITDA has a big role to play in decision making just for simple reason it is based on facts. So from EBITDA deduct depreciation and amortization. This is an exclusive item you find in annual report. And what's the difference? Depreciation is for tangible assets, amortization is for intangible assets. But still, going by tax and other provisions, the word amortization we hardly come across. For everything tangible or intangible, currently we make use of one single term, depreciation. But essentially, there's a difference between depreciation and amortization. Deduct it, you get what is called operating profits, which we also call as EBIT, EBIT, earnings before interest and tax. Again, this has a very big role to play in a lot of discussions. So in a later discussion of some topic, if I require to calculate EBIT, now we have an idea how to find it. And this is not how you will have in the annual report, but this is actually how we need for our learning and discussion. From this, deduct interest. What interest is this? Interest on borrowings. So in case the business entity has borrowed funds, then any interest on that should be deducted. Deducted, we get what is called EBT, earnings before tax, EBT. And as simple words, we also call it as taxable profits. Earnings before tax is nothing but taxable profits. Then from this, deduct tax, technically tax provision, but I'm just mentioning as tax, you get earnings after tax. Earnings after tax, EAT, also called net profits. And remember, this is the actual purpose. Finding this is the purpose of actually preparing income statement, although the extent to which we use it for decision making is minimal. But purpose is this. Now, this is the simplified format, but I repeat again, this is the format in which we must have statement of profit and loss for all future requirement and for analysis. And friends, in this format, the first item, revenue from operations, turnover is also the term we use. And for any business entity, revenue comes from sales or service or sales and service. Revenue from operations is or turnover. But this has a very popular jargon, top line. So revenues, top line is the term we use. So wherever we find top line mentioned in the media anywhere, the reference is for revenue from operations, and top line is a term given because this is the first item. Similarly, this being the last item, and this is the purpose why we prepare, this is popularly called bottom line. PAT is called bottom line. But for analysis, we don't stop here. We just go further into one more thing. What is done with these profits? Any business entity, profits belong to owners. For a company, shareholders are the owners. But just because this belongs to owners, can the entire profits be given away to owners? No. So what will be done? A portion of this will be distributed among owners, which we call as dividends. Remaining will be retained. So we also show that information, less dividends. So we get retained earnings. This is how we need to have the statement of profit and loss in our discussion on the subject and for analysis of financial statements. The first fundamental tool, right? So this is the first financial statement, statement of profit and loss. So the format in which it should be presented, it should be shown to help in analysis and other application. The next is balance sheet. Second financial statement, balance sheet. Balance sheet, is a statement which shows details of two items called liabilities and assets. Now, what are liabilities? Sources from which business is getting funds. We call that as liabilities. And what is done with those funds? How has those funds been applied? We call them as assets. So liabilities and assets is what we find in balance sheet. It's a statement which shows details of liabilities and assets. Now, though in presentation, in annual report, we find it. We find assets first and liabilities. Doesn't make a difference, but simple interpretation and analysis, the best practice is to first consider liabilities and then assets. But well, it doesn't make a difference which we show first. It's just a presentation. Now, what are liabilities? Sources from which a business is getting funds. Now, what all sources of business get funds? We show here. But usually, friends, there's one practice which we follow. There are two forms in which, two different orders in which we present items in balance sheet. One is called order of permanence, where the items are shown from long term to short term. So first we show long term items till short term items. But there's also another practice of order of liquidity, where the items in balance sheet are shown from short term to long term. And what is long term, short term? You will see very soon. But these are the two practices, and I'm sure you're aware, in India the practice is order of permanence, long term to short term. So going by that, the first item that will be shown is share capital. The capital mobilized by the company by issue of shares. Shares are ownership instruments. By issuing that, the capital mobilized. Shares are of two types, preference, ordinary. Preference shares are those, the holders of which get preference in payment of dividends each year and in repayment of capital at the closure of the company. So they have only preference in payment, but they don't have any rights. Ordinary shareholders, equity shareholders, are those who have right, who have powers, voting right, they're the decision makers. So whichever share it is, equity or preference share capital. But basically think, give a thought. When should the company give back this equity share capital? Share capital. It can have this capital till the company closes. Meaning, this is a source available permanently, forever, as long as possible. Order of permanence is the reason we show this as the first item. Followed by, in case there are any shareholders' funds used in business, like nothing but retained earnings. So apart from capital given by shareholders, owners, any funds that belong to them used in business is also a source of funding, internal source we call, but again belongs to whom? Shareholders. So we show this. Since it belongs to shareholders, again, it can be used for as long term as possible. So once again, permanent source of finance, we show this. And friends, these both put together is called shareholder funds. Shareholders funds, owners funds. So whenever later we need shareholders funds, remember we need to add share capital and retained earnings. And at present, this retained earnings, the term we find is other equity. All the same, just the term. Then we have what is called non-current liabilities. What is this non-current liability? External source of funding, but non-current is what we use when the source from where we got the fund is for long-term. The long-term borrowings come here. How to borrow? From banks, financial institutions, issue of debentures, But where this borrowing is for a long term, we call that as non-current liability. Now the question is, what is long term? Friends, earlier, anything beyond one accounting period was long term, within one accounting period was short term. But with Ind AS 1, you have seen, to identify something long term or short term, we identify what is the operating cycle. What is operating cycle? You have an idea. It is a time for cash to come back into form of cash. That is a criteria to now identify is an item, asset or liability, long term or short term. So let's say operating cycle is 6 months. So if you borrow a loan beyond 6 months, for a period more than 6 months, it is long term. Mind you, earlier the same would have been short term, but now it is long term. Anything within operating cycle is short term. So this is non-current liabilities. Then we have current liabilities, which is source of funding for short term. So liabilities are sources. So where the sources from which we get the funds are short term in nature, then we call that as current liabilities. Where can I get funds for short term? Bank overdraft. Say excess amount you withdraw beyond what you deposited from the bank. Bank permits you, but with a deadline to repay. So it's short term. And when I say source of fund, it may not be source of money or a loan. Let's say our suppliers, vendors supply raw material and other requirement on credit. Let's say 3-month credit. So for 3 months, they funded our business, not with money, but with something else which we need. So anybody who funds business in any manner becomes source of funding. So trade creditors who extend credit for our requirement are current liabilities. Let's say you have to pay to your employees at the end of the month, you delay by 10 days outstanding salary. For 10 days, we're using their money to run the business. So they have become source of fund. So outstanding expenses is a source, short term. So all these come under current liabilities. So these are the liabilities. And in annual report, what you find is exactly similar. So you find equity and liabilities. Equity is another name for shareholders' funds, also called net worth. Liability is non-current, current. Hope you remember what I'm displaying this annual report of Hindustan Unilever. But assume a company has mobilized 100 crores from different sources. What has it done with these 100 crores is what we show on the asset side. So assets is nothing but application of funds. Application of funds. Now what will be done with this? Once again, we show in the order of permanence. So first we show something called non-current assets. Nothing but fixed assets, but we use the term non-current. So what are non-current assets or fixed assets? Assets which are meant for long-term use, but more importantly, these are assets whose volume, quantity, numbers does not change frequently. So land and building, plant and machinery, furniture and fixtures, vehicles, intangible assets. Visualize, meant for long term. Remember, meant, do we actually use it for long term? That's a different story, but it's meant for long term. And on a daily basis, will the number of furniture items keep changing? Land and building keep changing. Plant and machinery, will it keep changing? Yes, once in a while, we buy a new one, dispose an existing one, but once in a while, not frequently. So frequently, the volume doesn't change. That is fixed asset, or what you call non-current assets. So out of the funds mobilized, one portion will be invested in non-current assets, and remaining is used to run the business, which you call as current assets. That is using the funds for short-term requirement. Current assets. And what do we have in current assets? Visualize. Assume out of 100 crores, if 70 crores is in the form of current, non-current assets, 30 crore, do we just keep it as cash? No. So using this cash, we buy raw material. That raw material will be introduced into production process, which will be in the form of work in progress. That work in progress will get completed and will have finished goods. These finished goods we sell to customers, and if it is a credit sale, our funds are with our customers, so it will be with them for some time. Then we get back our funds, which again we use it for buying raw material, converting into finished goods, selling to customers on credit, etc. So the remaining funds, which is revolving, which is circulating, is what we call as current assets, or also called working capital. So current assets, another term is working capital. And as you're aware, under this we have stock or inventory, receivables, cash. And the period required for cash to pass through all the stages and come back to a form of cash is what we call as operating cycle. So these are current assets. And in case if there is any surplus funds, usually the practice is to invest. So earlier we used to have investment as a separate heading on the asset side, but currently, as per the new formats, Companies Act or Ind AS, investments, if it's long term, it will be shown under non-current assets. If it is short term, it will be shown under current assets. So under assets, these are the two headings which you find: non-current assets and current assets. And obviously, the amount mobilized and amount utilized should balance with each other, should match with each other. That's the reason it's called a balance sheet. It shows from what sources we have got the funds, how it has been applied, and the balance between the two. Now, this is balance sheet, the second financial statement. Once again, as far as balance sheet, we don't have to think much because the way it's available is exactly how we need it. So we find non-current assets, current assets. So this we don't have to worry much. As it is available in the reports, it can be used. But when it comes to statement of profit and loss, be careful. Friends, and liabilities, share capital and other equity put together is called equity, shareholders' funds, net worth. It's essential that shareholders have a clarity over the year what happened to their funds. Hence, now we find one more statement called statement of changes in equity. So last year, how much was capital and other equity? What are the changes this year? So as it stands today, how much? So it's just an extra explanation that is provided, but now this is a part of financial statement. Then, if you go to annual report, statement of profit and loss or balance sheet, then for every item you find a note, note number 3, note number 8, 12, whatever. Friends, financial statements, what you find are abridged. You just get the final number. These note numbers, what you find, if you go down, you find details given. So inventory 11. Just total inventory is available. As you're aware, you'll always have it for current year, last year. But how much? What is the inventory? Which item? How much? Any details you need, go to the note. Now, these are called notes to accounts, and you get a complete understanding of financial statements only when you see notes. In financial statements, you get just the abridged items and version and figures. The details will be available in notes to accounts. So this also is considered as a part of financial statements. Finally, the last item we have under financial statements is cash flow statement. A very interesting item. How to read this you will see eventually in the other classes during the program. But this is a statement which shows details of during the given period, what are the cash inflows and cash outflows, and summarizes all the cash flows during the period into 3 categories: net cash flows from operating activities, investing activities, and financing activities. What is this net cash flow? What is operating, investing, financing? How to read it? How to actually read this entire cash flow statement? You will see in the further videos, but this is how we find cash flow statement. So this net cash flow, when you use the word net, difference between inflows and outflows. Since it is difference between inflows and outflows, the net may be plus or minus. And to this, whatever you get, this net cash flow from operating, investing, financing, whatever you get, when we adjust the difference in opening and closing, cash and cash equivalent, opening balance of cash and cash equivalent, closing balance of cash and cash equivalent. The difference, if we adjust, we get number, but that is actually not what we need. What we need is this. So how much was the opening, closing balance of cash, cash equivalent is irrelevant. Our requirement for analysis is this part. So what is it? How we use it? Let us see. Now this is a brief orientation on what one must know about financial statements before we begin analysis. So these are the 5 items we have in financial statements. This is how we should have statement of profit and loss. Be aware of the terms top line, bottom line, EBITDA, meaning of depreciation, all these simple terms, but know the correct meaning, what is the purpose and what is the order in which we should present. Balance sheet, statement showing details of liabilities, assets, what are those we know, and how we should present, same as how we find in annual report, that doesn't make a difference much. And the third financial statement we come across is statement of changes in equity. I explained what it is, the meaning was the purpose. Notes to accounts gives details of every item in financial statements, and cash flow statements, it summarizes for this given period the cash flows that happen, inflows and outflows, and classifies it under 3 headings: operating, investing, financing. This is the basis, the background you need before you learn how to analyze financial statements. So in the next video, we will see how to read, how to analyze financial statement, what is a model we can use for that. All the best. Please visit our website www.drvrk.in for knowing what all courses we run and details, registration, everything you can find the further details. Have a great time. Enjoy your learning. All the best, friends.